children that say you learn by observing and learn by observing others. And because of observing others, they give interpretation to things based on their own mindset and level of understanding. How can parents prepare growth or maturity and mindset of their children? But the thing is, as a child grows, as a child move around in the society, in social spaces, they get to learn and observe. They get to watch. Some watch the social media, some watch books, listen to, read books, watch movies, of course, understudy their parents, their role models, their aunts, uncles. As they do all of these, they get to interpret the actions, inactions of who they observe, quote and unquote. And of course, the interpretation they give to every action is based on their level of understanding, their mindset, as in how mature their mindset could be. But again, what is the role of parents? What is the role of coaches? What is the role of teachers in building on a child mindset so they don't get a wrong interpretation to every actions and inactions they see in the society? Okay, my guest joins me now via Zoom to look at this particular social issue. She's Charity Odu. She is a parental coach. Many thanks for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Charity, compliment
Good
of the
afternoon
season.
from my end. I wish you the same. Thanks for having me.
All right. It's back to school season, and experts have said that parents, teachers, the guidance should learn to develop a child mindset. But the first question is, when we say developing a child mindset, what should come to perspective?
Okay, developing a child's mindset, simply put, is building belief, orientation in a child. The things that a child should grow to know, the things that a child should believe in. Most of the things we do as adults are things that we learned when we were small. So mindset is some form of maturity and growth that you instill in the child while a child is growing up. A belief that a child should grow up with, as the layman's definition of what mindset is all about.
Okay, now, words compend what a child grows up with? If you say this is a compendium of what a child grows with, so the question is, what should encapsulate that compendium?
Okay, it's everything, just like you said in your introduction, everything goes back to parents, caregivers, teachers, and anybody that is involved in raising children. Okay, so for example, we want to, I think, okay, I would say for it to be possible to be able to build a mindset in a child, we as parents and as teachers and caregivers are the people that are in charge. We're the people that are supposed to teach children this mindset, maturity, and growth. When you're talking about mindset, you're talking about the maturity of the mind and growth. So the very first step in doing this is to be able to build a foundation. Okay, there's something I want us to explain here. You know, it's not easy when a child is already grown and you're trying to, teach this child a particular mindset, an orientation that is different from what a child already know. The easiest time to teach is when a child is still very much tender. So that's
Okay.
why we always
Aha.
encourage
What age?
encourage
What age is that? You
at
said
birth.
at birth.
At birth.
Okay.
Yes, at birth. At birth. Because sometimes I know some parents, whenever I'm teaching anything that has to do with parenting, I usually ask this question, at what age should we start training a child? And sometimes you hear some people say maybe 2 years. Some people will say when a child understands what punishment is, and all that. Some people have this belief that it does not have to start early. But we say no, it starts at birth. You see, the formation age for children is 0 to 12 years. Whatever you're not able to teach at this age will be very difficult for you to teach at a later age. And whatever a child learns at this age, positive or negative, will also be difficult for a child to unlearn. So that's why at this formative age, it is very, 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 very important. That's the stage that you do all the correction, you instill all that you want in a child, the spanking and everything. And when I tell parents, the reason why you always say it has to be when a child understands what punishment is all about is because of the way our own mindset as adults are crafted, because we believe that the punishment the child that should be given to a child should be beaten, and all that. And you feel that the child doesn't understand what that part of punishment is. At every stage in life, a child has a particular punishment that you can give. It must not be beaten. So that is why this mindset that we're talking about should start at birth, 0 to 12 years. So let me break it into two now.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'll save that question.
Okay. Okay. So let me break it into two. For 0 at birth, when you're starting, the very first step is to build a foundation. When you're building this foundation, you're trying to mold a child. I always say that we parents and caregivers and even teachers, we are like a bricklayer that is trying to build a house. You're laying structures. Whichever shape you give this house, that is how the house stands. And the foundation that you build, the foundation that you create when you're trying to build a house will determine the state of the house, whether it's going to be a good house or if it is going to collapse, like we see some buildings that collapse. So that is how we are as parents, as caregivers, and as teachers. Whatever we are, whichever shape we give these children is the shape they will take. So it's just like we're molding them, just like you see the mold of a block. The shape of that mold is the shape that the child takes. So that is what happens in this mindset. That is why I say, build the foundation. There's something we say in family system engineering. There's a course we call human engineering in family system engineering. And we say that we are a product of the systems that engineered us. When I mean systems, I mean parents, I mean caregivers, I mean teachers, and maybe significant emotional experiences. All those things come together, to form who we are and to engineer us. So whatever we do from the basis, as in this foundation now, determines what those children will be. So I say build the foundation. Build the foundation from the beginning when they are still small. Start early. Start parenting early. Even at 0 age, even at 3 months. The example I usually give to parents when I'm teaching is when a baby is sucking and a baby bites the mom's breast, or maybe what do we call it?
Nipple.
The mom's nipple. When a baby bites the mom's nipple, yes. So will you beat that baby? Is the best form of punishment you will give that child? Is it to beat the baby? No. But there's how maybe you look at the child or maybe touch the child's cheek or wherever the child will understand that what he or she is doing is wrong. So at every stage, there's always some form of punishment. So start this very early. Whatever you feel to the mind. Let me also say this. The mind of a newborn baby, when a child comes, you and I know that the mind of a newborn baby is, I could use a new computer as an example. The mind of a newborn baby is like a computer that you bought in the market, which came maybe only with an operating software, maybe let's say Windows for example. So whichever software you need to use and work, you buy and install. So that is how the mind is. What the children are learning are the things that we are installing in them as parents. So what we're installing in them as caregivers and as teachers. So when we start this early and build this foundation, the things we want to see in them, what we want them to believe in, it is easier and faster. I said I was going to break it into two.
Yes.
But when it now happens that this child is no longer a baby, or okay, let's say for example, somebody is listening to us and you realize that you already have a child, maybe like 6 or above 12 years, and you didn't start early, it is not late. You can still start. You can still training them, and you can still start training them. And in this case now, role modeling is the easiest means of teaching them. Is the easiest model that you can use to teach them this mindset.
Now,
Role
who
modeling is
should
the easiest
hold on, please?
form and method of parenting.
Hold on, please.
Okay.
Who should be the role model at this particular stage? I have an opportunity to compare an event for children. It was an event of children, and it was difficult for parents to differentiate between role model and mentor. So if we
Okay.
say at 12, role model is very important. The question is, who should be the role model in the child's life?
You as a parent should be the number one role model. When I mean by role modeling, what I mean is this. For example, let me say as a parent, if I say I should be a role model, what I mean is that anything I want my child to learn, I should model it for my child. That is what I mean. The life I want my child to live, I should model that life for my child. Sometimes I ask parents, the life that you're living now, should your child grow up tomorrow and live this kind of life that you're living now? Will you be a fulfilled parent? If your answer is yes, then that means you're on track. If your answer is no, you are not on track, you have to do something. Anything, let me share one experience I had sometime. I said I was finding it difficult to train my children on table manners. They should not talk when they are eating food. And I kept on saying this, kept on saying this, kept on saying this. And one day, my son of 10 years old asked me a question. Mom, is it really bad for someone to talk while eating food? I said, yes, very bad. And that is why I always tell you not to talk when you're eating food. And he said, for you and daddy always talk when you're eating food. So you see here, I was saying something else and I was doing something else. I was not practicing what I was teaching. So if I wanted them to learn how to keep quiet when they're eating food, I should have modeled that kind of life for them. I learned that I have not been practicing what I was preaching. And I went back to the drawing board and I did it again. And then we got it right this time around. So any life you want those children to live, you model it for them. That is what I mean by role modeling. So
Okay,
you
now,
as a parent should be the number one role
role model.
model.
Oh, okay. Let's look at our society now, the way the things are moving so fast, the world is evolving, socialization, digitalization, everything is moving at a very, very fast pace. Now, if we say at 12, a child should be matured mentally, talking about building the mindset, the thing is, at this particular stage, you said from age 0 to 12. At what stages and do you need to impute a particular subject? When I mean subject in this context, I'm looking at social subject, I'm looking at a spiritual aspect, I'm looking at the academic aspect. At what stage? Then again, the aspect of a child being able to relate socially even when the parents are not there. If you say at maybe 0 to 2, we should be able to teach the child to talk, to be able to respond. Then maybe 2 to 4, the child should be able to, at this point, know how to write. Then if we say 6 to 7 or 6 to 8, the child should be able to relate socially with the peers and know what to say and know what to say. So my question is, at what stage, at what interval should you know which aspect do you have to improve upon? You see a child at 12, they're already open to all forms of gadgets. They could operate anything. So the thing is, at what stage do you expose a child to a particular level of mindset shifts?
Okay. You see, this particular question, it has to do with the digital world that we are in. I always tell parents that we should look at the um, maturity of the mind. Majority of the mind. When a child is matured in mind, age, yes, comes in there, but sometimes you discover that age won't really play a major role here. Because sometimes you see a child that is already 15 years, but that child is not yet emotionally matured. So the word I usually use is when a child is emotionally matured. When a child is emotionally matured, to be able to handle some of the things that come with the digital world that we are in. And before you expose a child to any of those things, there should be thorough training. It does not even have to be age. If, for example, we say at 12 years, even though personally, this one is a personal opinion, I feel that a child of 12 years should not be given so much exposure to the digital world. But if on the other hand I say don't be giving digital exposure to the um, digital world, there are things that children are doing these days using some of the gadgets of positive things that they are doing. Sometimes even school work and school activity involves them using some of these gadgets. So we won't rule it out totally, but we would say that a child should be taught. See, allowing your child to have access to gadgets, have access to internet without proper guidance, without teaching the child things, the do's and the don'ts, before allowing that child to have access to the gadgets and to the digital world is the same thing as giving your car key to your child to drive when you've not taught a child how to drive. So at this point now, from what you're saying, I wouldn't say age here. Age
Okay.
is also important, but
Okay.
I would insist on emotional maturity
Okay.
because a child of there could be a child of 12 years that is emotionally matured and can handle things and can handle this digital world. But there's also a child of 15 years who could say, okay, this child is 15, 16 years, should have access to the digital world, but not yet emotionally mature. So training is important here. If we want them to have access to these gadgets, then you have to train them well before they use it. You have to monitor them, you have to guide them. I know it's not easy in this our time where both parents are working and you also have to do this parenting stuff. It's not easy, but it's just a sacrifice because the world we are in now is not the world we were when we were growing up. Our parents, sometimes what they teach stay there in our brain. But
Okay.
these days, sometimes parents teach and then the digital world will reteach. Peer pressure will reteach.
Okay. What is the role of teacher? I like the fact that you're a teacher. You've touched that a bit. What are the roles of teacher in building child mindsets? Our time is up. In 30 seconds, if you could respond to that, I'll be very happy.
Okay. The role of a teacher. Oh, okay, let me also say this. Most times we leave most of the work for teachers to do in school, but unfortunately, education is not for teachers alone. It's for the two of us. So the role of a teacher is actually to build on what the parents has already started at home. Yes, that's what a teacher is supposed to do. But I also want to add that a teacher should know that he or she is also a role model. Whatever is doing, the children are learning. So the kind of life we also want the children to live, you as a teacher should model it. And the kind of mindset, the growth and maturity you want in those children, modeling it is one method that it will be easier for the teacher to use and teach the children.
Thank you so much, Charity Chidinma Odu, for your time on the show. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
That's the size of the package today. I'm sure parents, you've got it. You have so much work to do. Getting the new lunch bags, the new school bag, new shoes, and new uniforms, and not just enough. You have to pay attention to what you expose your child to. You have to pay attention to what they do, and again, you have to constantly, intentionally, consciously improve on their mindset is very, very needed. And this key generation will find ourselves very, very needed and very, very key. And you have a role to play. You don't just leave the work for the teacher. And most importantly, if you don't have anything to take from this package, take back the fact that you should be a role model to your child. Invariably, what you want to see in your child, you have to model that out so your child could emulate. And that's the package for today. Many thanks for watching. Follow us on our Facebook and Instagram. Atlantic Television Network is the handle. On Facebook is Atlantic TV Network. I'm Flora Duke. Many thanks for watching. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.